Hey, beautiful people, Shakti here. So, just taking a moment to offer another sharing based around my book Rapture, A Guide to Sexual and Spiritual Awakening for Women. As those of you who've been following this know, I'm going through the book chapter by chapter and sharing its wisdom for a male audience because I figured that men would be really interested to hear what I have to say, given that I've been working with women almost exclusively for almost 20 years in the realm of teaching embodied awakening, embodied awareness, and Tantra. So, I've worked intimately with women for a very long time. Welcome and namaste. And really gotten to see the very typical and common issues that come up around the body, pleasure, sexuality, and all of this stuff. So chapter 7, which is where we're on today in the book, is called Beauty is Within. And it sounds really trite, but actually there's so much within this chapter and this title for women and men to really get to grips with. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not that I'm anti-beauty. It's not that I'm anti-aesthetic. In fact, aesthetics and art and beauty are really important to me. I'm a Libra, and so beauty is really fundamental to my appreciation of life and people. So I'm not against beauty. I'm not against appreciating beauty or feeling attracted to beauty or even aroused by beauty, However, there's a lot of shadow and dysfunction around this whole topic as well that it feels to me is really essential for women and men to heal and become more aware of. So here's a question. I mean, I've been teaching women for 20 years, as I say, dance, yoga, tantra. So this, of course, is all about the body and embodiment. What I've seen in that time is that pretty much every single woman that comes into the dance class, the workshop space, whatever, feels that she is not attractive enough or finds fault with some aspect of her physical appearance. Pretty much everybody. It's almost unheard of that I will meet a woman who comes into my space who feels totally at ease in her body, totally loves her body and appreciates her body and feels confident that she's attractive and beautiful. And personally, I find that so very, very heartbreaking and sad. Because what I see in every woman is beauty. My eyes see beyond conventional notions of how women think they should look. Given, of course, that, let's just put it in perspective, conventions for beauty, conventions for fashion change over time and between cultures. So, but these are all basically externally defined standards of how a woman should look. And again, this is part of something that I've referred to in the past, the very patriarchal lens and the very patriarchal framework that still structures how we, all of life basically, institutions, cultures, multimedia, social media, fashion, music. It's very much about the objectification of the feminine form and the holding up particular standards or conventions of ways of looking to be superior, to be preferred, to be more beautiful, to be more desirable, right? And so what has happened and what happens for pretty much every woman, there are very few who are kind of the exception to this rule, is that they grow up from a very young age, like even pre-teens, thinking that they are not good enough. And that not good enough feeling is very much to do with the physical appearance. That's why you get so many issues with eating disorders, with plastic surgery, with cutting, like self-harming. All of these kinds of issues are to do with the physical appearance and this belief that is so pervasive in the culture that a woman's value is directly related to her beauty which is defined by external standards, not by how she feels within herself. And so what that means is women can be like incredibly beautiful looking. They might have the most expensive clothes on, the most expensive makeup, they might have the most immaculate figures. So it might all look perfect in inverted commas on the outside, but inside they're a bundle of insecurity. So I understand and I know, I get that men are more visual, right? So there's a more kind of direct connection between visual appreciation and turn on and attraction. So I do understand that. I know that we're different, right? And I appreciate that. However, what I want to say from my own experience of working with women through all these years is that physical beauty as defined by matching up to some externally defined standard of body shape or bone structure or whatever it is, you know, has no correlation whatsoever to inner confidence, self-worth, kindness, integrity, generosity, sensuality, capacity for sexual pleasure. No correlation whatsoever. So if you're only looking at that external, superficial layer of a person, there's no direct correlation with who they are as a human being, as a soul inside. And what every woman craves, what every person craves for, actually, but I know like what every woman craves is to be seen and valued and appreciated for who she is. To be appreciated for her intelligence, for her kindness, for her innatural gifts, not only for her physical attributes. And of course, our physical attributes change through our life cycle. You know, we put on weight, we lose weight, we get pregnant, we have children, parts of our bodies change as we get older. So if your only attraction to a person is based on that very superficial layer, it's going to change just as men change, right? So, you know, there's so much more to a woman than that. And most women in the world are going through their lives, particularly younger women. I think for many women, as we age, I'm going to speak for myself, we become more confident and we don't give a shit what anybody else thinks of us. I certainly don't. Right? But this insecurity and this lack of self-worth is so pervasive, and it's very much encouraged by the culture of comparison, the culture of competition, by companies that, of course, very cynically market products to women to encourage their insecurities and to capitalize on these insecurities. It's a huge business, the beauty business, and it's making money out of this creation of insecurity in women and the belief that they're not good enough or not beautiful enough, right? My belief and my teaching is completely the opposite of that. Sorry, I'm just going to look at my notes. Completely the opposite of that, which is that beauty is within. Beauty comes from inner confidence. It comes from connection and awareness to the body. Like, I can't tell you how many women I've met again in my work who are stunning, absolutely stunning. Their bodies are numb, their yonis are numb, they have no sensation, they're cut off from their sexual energy, they lack confidence, they're wounded, they're traumatized. So the outer appearance is, you know, no guarantee of anything. And the more that a woman, in terms of what I see when I work with women and how I have blossomed myself, the more that there is a sense of inner worth, the more there is a sense of inner confidence, the more there is a connection to awareness and sensation in the body, the more their healing has been moved through to overcome and release wounds and traumas, the more connection there is with the flow of the sacred energy of Kundalini Shakti within the body, which is a rejuvenating, revitalizing life force energy, right? That causes a woman to feel radiant and beautiful, blossoming from within. the more those qualities of the true inner divine feminine are cultivated, the more a woman shines in her true feminine light. And actually, I would say that men might not realize it, but that is what they're really attracted to, is the feminine energy that shimmers and shines within a woman. And that really has nothing to do with her outer shape, her outer size, her color. It has nothing actually to do with her age either, because when we are as women, when we are connected to our Shakti, when we are connected to our divine feminine essence, this light, this shimmering, this radiance, this power, this confidence, this knowing of who we are, this connection to our wisdom and our intuition, to our hearts, to our bodies, to our sacred sensuality, that stays with us. It doesn't die off. It stays with us till the very end of our lives. That's why when you see women who teach Tantra, when you see women who are yogis, when you see women who are meditators, they glow, and that glow doesn't suddenly turn off at a particular age. It continues. And that, the glow of the true divine feminine, is what men are actually attracted to. And that's what I see in when I'm holding space for women. I see the shifts from, feeling unattractive, feeling fat, feeling like there's something wrong with their bodies because of a scar or a birth trauma or, something that's happened to the physical body. And when that shame is released, when that self-judgment is released from the psyche, she begins to glow and appear more beautiful, even though nothing actually has changed. She hasn't lost weight. She hasn't had an operation. She hasn't had liposuction or whatever these things are that people do to themselves. She hasn't had any of that. She's just released shame. She's just released self-judgment. She's just loved herself more. And in loving herself more, she shows up more radiant, more glowing, more confident, more beautiful, right? That's how it goes. And of course, again, her capacity for pleasure sensually has nothing to do with looks, and everything to do with inner confidence, inner connection, inner awareness, inner energy flow, all of these things, a sense of wholeness, in fact. And, through my own experiences, perhaps I can share a little bit just to kind of highlight this. Like, I grew up, again, in an environment where the whole focus was on my physical appearance, and that was just the norm at that time. So I was objectified, groped, ogled at, or totally ignored because I didn't have big boobs and that kind of archetypal sort of figure eight curved figure that was popular when I was growing up anyway. So men and young boys pretty much ignored me if I was standing next to anybody with a large chest, basically. So I very quickly learned that I was not good enough because I didn't have that figure. And in terms of like my intellect, my gifts, my kindness, my warm-heartedness, nobody was interested in that. They were just interested in boobs, bum, and figure, right? So that was the culture, and it's difficult to grow up in that environment and truly believe that you have a worth as a person and worth as a human being beyond how you look. But when I look out to the world now, sadly, I don't think things have changed that much. They're different, but I don't think they've really, really changed. What I also saw, kind of flipping it in reverse, was that the guys who were very good looking, like classically good looking, like the kind of guys that everyone would turn and look at because they were so handsome, they weren't necessarily interesting, they weren't necessarily intelligent, they weren't necessarily kind people. So I realized very quickly that really looks don't mean too much when it comes to connecting with a person in a true and soulful way. I was more interested in, like, who is this person? How kind are they? How intelligent are they? How interesting are they? How fun are they to be with? How sincere are they? How much integrity do they have? they could look like Adonis, but like how boring is that if they have nothing to talk about and they're thick as two planks, right? So again, I think like just to reflect it back to men the other way, the women that I work with, right, it may be different in other sectors of society, but I'm working with awakening women. For us, a man's looks are not the first thing on the list, if there is a list at all. We're much more concerned with who you are as a human being, with your qualities, with your honesty, with your integrity, with your kindness, with your intelligence, with your leadership skills. You know, it's not really the primary thing really isn't the size of your muscles or your lingam. Those are beautiful to have as well, but we're really not going to turn our head for someone who's boring or uninspiring or inauthentic, and lacking in, you know, real good human qualities of consciousness and presence and kindness and thoughtfulness, right? So women, we want to, so men, we want to be appreciated and seen for who we are. We don't want to be objectified. The work for women, of course, the work that I do is to support women in healing from this programming, to release this programming of not good enough, of not beautiful enough, so that we really do come to experience ourselves as beautiful for ourselves, not for anybody else. And when women have done that inner work, then really they become more magnetic and more impervious to the players who, of course, are very good at manipulating by addressing that insecurity, by playing upon the insecurity, by, you know, giving all the compliments about the appearance, which can seduce a woman who's insecure because it makes her feel worthy for a short moment, but it's really kind of meaningless unless it comes from a place of sincerity. If it's coming from a place of, I just want to get you into bed by paying you compliments, you know, it's completely insincere and meaningless. And women with any kind of awareness will pick up on that pretty quickly. And, you know, it's kind of interesting in terms of, I get lots of messages, I guess, because I have a public social media profile and I talk about these things publicly. So I get lots of messages from men and or comments on my lives, actually, on posts. And the number of comments or posts there are that are like, hello, beautiful, or looking sexy, or looking great. And I'm like, that's such a vacuous comment. Like, what do I care what you think of how I look? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to establishing any kind of connection between us, you know? So we don't want to be appraised. We don't want to be judged. We don't want to be objectified. Of course, we really appreciate your very sincere compliments, but not when they have a strategy, not when they're trying to get something, not when they're trying to manipulate something. And what we do appreciate, and, you know, my work, as I said, is supporting women to love their bodies, to love themselves, to really feel beautiful from within. And when a woman feels that way, you know, she really is like a queen in the way that she goes through the world. So if you're a man who has a partner or is looking for a partner and you're sincere, then you want to support your woman to feel beautiful within herself by supporting her to love herself, to cherish herself, to take care of herself, by seeing beyond the surface, by seeing into her soul, and really expressing your gratitude for her qualities as a woman, and encouraging her to do whatever she feels she wants to do to feel good within herself. Just looking at my notes. Yeah. The beauty that is the radiance of the divine feminine, it's ageless, it's timeless, it's infinite. Just like nature, you know, we are an embodiment of Shakti energy, which is expressed through nature. Right now, nature's in her springtime, so like she's bursting forth with all this new energy of creation, this energy of birth and youth, right? And we can embody that. But there's also a beauty to the season of summer. There's also a beauty to the season of autumn. There's also beauty to the season of winter. And actually, women, we can be all of those qualities, all of those elements, all of those seasons in one. We are it all. And I feel like there really is an invitation for us all to kind of go deeper in our reverence and our respect and our seeing and our bowing to the majesty and the beauty of this Shakti energy within ourselves and within one another. So beauty is within. Beauty is within. It comes from an inner journey. It comes from an inner loving. It comes from an inner energy. It's not dependent on anybody or anything else. So if any woman is watching this, know that your beauty is here. And so long as you're feeling dependent on some external validator or validation to feel good about yourself, there's work to be done here. There's healing to be done here. There's a reclamation to be done here to truly begin to cherish and love and honor this beautiful physical form that you've been gifted for this lifetime. That's my sharing. I just want to see what you said because I can't read without my glasses on. Things haven't changed. If anything, it's become more superficial. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's 18, and I've watched her go through her adolescence and the girls around her, eating disorders, self-harming, the whole thing with social media, really encouraging a self-objectification. And I see so many young girls who are drop dead gorgeous, parading their bodies, parading their faces, but they are completely disconnected from their self-worth, their energy, they're disconnected from sensation in their bodies. There's a complete cutting off. So I find that very, very sad. And, again, if you're a man who wants to be with a woman of quality and caliber and value, then encourage her in her self-love, in her self-connection, in her self-awareness. Yep. And don't buy into all this superficial objectification stuff that is so pervasive and doing damage both ways, because we ultimately, whether we're men or women, ultimately we are souls, ultimately we are hearts, and ultimately there's a oneness there, and it's the most beautiful thing is when we're able to meet another in that true place, which sees so much deeper than the skin. That's my sharing for today. So thanks for being with me, and I'll be back next time. We'll be going on to chapter 8, and chapter 8 is a really exciting chapter. It's called Sex is for the All of You. So lots of love, and see you next time. Bye for now.